Dealt a bad hand. Audiochuck accused of plagiarism. The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. We start with an exclusive today. Audiochuck's new podcast, The Deck, has been accused of copying a similar show from May 2020. We speak to one of the co-hosts of Dealing Justice and take a listen to both shows.
Her short, wavy brown hair is parted down the middle.
Christie's short brown hair is parted down the middle and feathered back on both sides.
Now, this isn't the first accusation of plagiarism against the company. You can read the story in full in our show notes and our newsletter today. Joe Rogan has apologised for repeated use of the N-word on his Spotify exclusive show after India Airy shared clips of Rogan using the racial slur more than 24 times.
My sincere and humble apologies. I wish there was more that I could say, but all of this is just me talking from the bottom of my heart. It makes me sick watching that video.
Rogan claims the comments were taken out of context. Spotify appears to have removed 70 episodes of his show over the weekend. According to a monitoring website, the company hasn't made any comment as to why. Scott Galloway and Roxane Gay both announced they're removing their podcast from the platform. The Obamas are hunting for a new podcast deal. Meanwhile, Spotify's Science Versus has released a special show fact-checking Joe Rogan's interview with Robert Malone, and the BBC's Ros Atkins has posted an explainer about what's going on. It's a worthwhile and, yes, balanced 5 minutes. Now, another exclusive. Mumbler has released what they call the first monetization study for podcasts in Spain. 137 podcasters took part. We've been given a set of pages translated into English. Almost half the podcasters said they weren't monetizing in any way, but selling services was the top way of earning revenue, followed by sponsorships. Doing a good podcast interview is the responsibility of both podcast hosts and guests, says Mark Deal. He's one of the organisers of Interview Mastery Summit, a virtual event announced on February the 19th. It'll be co-hosted by Daniel Desir. Podtrac reports iHeartRadio is number one for podcasting for January's US publishers list, the gap slightly narrowing between them and NPR at number 2. No change in the top 5 for US podcasts. From Acast to Zcast, Zibby Owens has launched a new podcast network, Zcast, powered by Acast. The slate of shows include her award-winning Mums Don't Have Time to Read Books. And Castos has released a new feature enabling all its podcasters to earn Bitcoin from listeners, as well as links to PayPal, Patreon and others. It's one of the first podcast hosts to build in support for value for value. In People News, Holly Garrard has been hired as VP of Business Development and Partnerships at Real 2 Media in Seattle. She joins from iHeartRadio. It's a Monday, so time for some tech stuff. PodLP has become the latest podcast app and directory to use PodPing to speed up new podcast episodes and dramatically decrease their bandwidth and server bill. The app has also just hit 10 million installs. If you run an Umbral Bitcoin node at home, there's a new update which contains a bug fix for Helipad as well as a CSV export tool. The new version of Helipad also has a Streams API hidden under the hood. And if you're listening on a new podcast app to the Podnews podcast, thank you for hitting the boost button and sending us a message. We got 7,970 sats from boosts last week. We're grateful for the messages, including a comment from Adam Curry to get back under the duvet. For audio reasons, naturally. And in podcast news, The Read has joined Patreon, we're told, hosted by American comedians Kid Fury and Chrissy West and based in New York City. Members of their Patreon will have special access to bonus audio segments, priority notice on live events, monthly live Q&A video chats with Kid Fury and Chrissy, and more. And new from Paradiso Media, 17 features Laura Lee Abbey's diary from when she was 17, an era before social media and smartphones, an era with inherent and often unwitting misogyny. The show explores how a generation of would-be feminists were influenced by the mixed signals of pop culture and launches today. And that's the latest from our newsletter. For all the links, we're at podnews.net.